Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. So this one's a little bit different to my usual format because this is a replay of a race that I ran yesterday, because unfortunately I wasn't recording it at the time, but it was such a good race I really wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm back in the 992 Porsche GT3. This is the one with no ABS and no traction control, and we are at Spa for 8 laps. So I've ran this race a couple of times this week, and I was able, after a few races, I was able to qualify first, did a couple of pole positions to first place finishes, and that was great fun. And then I thought, do you know what, I really want to start improving my wheel-to-wheel racing a bit, so I thought I did a couple of races where I was starting further back in the grid. So in this one we are starting 26th, and we eventually race through to finish first with a really good battle with third and fourth on the way to go and get that win as well. It was a really good battle, that's for sure. So if you want to join me in some of these races, I've been following this 992 series through the AC Evo server list. It's a server called the AC Cafe Racing, I think. Don't quote me exactly on that, but it's along those lines. You'll be able to find it. They have a couple of servers, and one of the ones that they've been super persistent in running is this Porsche 992. So far, I've been involved in some of the races at the Red Bull Ring. I've been and done some of them at Bathurst. They've done Imola, and this week it's at Spa. So they are mixing it up, and it's a really fun car to race. The lack of traction control ABS makes it quite difficult to drive, but very rewarding when you get it right. So like I said, earlier this week, ran some races, got the car set up, starting 26th. We'll jump into it. This video is different to usual because it's going to be me explaining my thoughts throughout the race rather than my live reaction. So let's jump right in. So I've been getting some pretty good launches with this car this week, around sort of 80 to 90% throttle. You get a little bit of wheel spin off the start, and then off you go. So you can see we jumped the first car. I'm hoping that I can fly down the outside here. Unfortunately, he's moved over, so we settle in behind, early braking into turn 1 because you don't want to get caught up in an incident. And as you can see, we got some people outside to the left there that did get caught up. Focusing on the exit now, down here, and trying to make sure you've got track position for a ruse, because you really don't want to be side by side, so often falling in line, big lift off there, is a lot easier. Keeping it nice and clean, look at all the cars spinning, they're ice skating, and now picking back up on the throttle and finding a slipstream down the straight. You can see we picked up right behind this guy. We are looking to make an overtake. He moved over to the left and made it nice and easy. Unfortunately, big lock up here on the fronts, and then as I downshift, the rear snapped on me as well. I couldn't keep it on the circuit, and I have to use the runoff area. Now heading down the hill here. This is a super tricky corner to get right because you're downhill and off camber, so braking here is very difficult, and it's also easy to lose the rear of the car. Having a look round the outside of this guy here, which switches back massively, like massive avoiding action there as the third car ran wide and he was rejoining, which pushed the car we were racing into the middle of the circuit. So I just wanted to make sure I left enough space there to not get caught up in an incident. I think that's one thing you can do, you know, is give people lots of space and room, because you can't account for their driving. You don't know what they're going to do, but you can impact your own driving. So far it's been a clean first lap. We haven't had any contact, no collisions. We made that mistake into turn 3, but the car's running well, we're not damaged, we've got tyre temperature now, and we can start to push and try and catch up to the cars ahead. It's not quite flat out through here, it's a big lift off, which actually makes it quite fun. It's difficult to keep the car within the white lines. Brave onto the brakes into these last 2 corners, or just last chicane I guess. And then here we are to come round for our first lap. Now as we round the source, you'll be able to look up through a rouge and we can still see the leaders, so they've not made it too far ahead. This guy in front of us decided to spin out, so I kept it nice and tight on the inside to try and avoid any chance of collision. And then if you just look up through a rouge now, you'll be able to see the grey car. There we go, he's in the lead. Unfortunately here, I couldn't quite make it through a rouge. I picked up a time penalty, so I've had to lift off there so that I don't get an actual penalty and just slow the car down. So one thing that I've really enjoyed this week have been the slowdown penalties. So since they were first introduced in 5.1 or 5.2, they've been nicely improved with the last couple of patches that they brought through. So the way the off-track system works is if all 4 tyres of the car run beyond the white lines of the circuit, the game evaluates whether you've gained time or not. Then, based off of whether you've gained time or not, the game has like a traffic light system essentially, which goes yellow, orange and red, and that tells you how much time you need to give back. So if the penalty is yellow, then basically you're okay, you can keep racing at full speed, you don't need to worry. If it goes orange, you need to give back time or you're at risk of a 5-second penalty, and if it goes red you need to give back more time and you're at risk of a 10-second penalty. So you really have to judge that yourself as how much time to give back. Try and keep that yellow. As long as it stays yellow, your penalties will be cleared. Keep racing. So making sure that you keep it between the white lines, super important, so that you don't have to give back potentially like half a second every lap. So you've got to keep it on the circuit. So at this point, we've done a couple of laps. Well, we've nearly done a couple of laps. Our tyres are worn. I can see they're battling up ahead because they're driving super close together. And I'm thinking, let's just keep our head down, keep it clean, use that pace advantage we've got. I've set lap times in the 2-minute 22.9s this week, which is on pace for some of the quickest drivers. The fastest lap I've seen is a 21.7, and I've not been able to get near that. But generally on raw pace, people are doing 124s, 125s, so we've got a second over them. So what I'm trying to do now is keep focused and just catch up to the cars ahead. Big snap of oversteer there, but we managed to catch it. There's one thing with no TC that makes makes the car quite fun to drive. It's always very lively. And you can see just how much we're gaining on these guys ahead of us who are all battling away. I remember checking the timing board and I was picking up about 1.5 seconds a lap. Nice exit through Radion there. So I think that moves us up to about 7th. And I think at this point I was setting, that was the fastest lap of the race that was just set, so I would really found a groove and just started to push on. These guys fighting through Rouge, really bad exit, and I'm gaining. Not close enough to make a move yet, but certainly starting to catch up to them. They both run a little bit deep there. So we go round the outside of that guy. You can see in the mirror that he's lifted off and sort of just let us go. I think these are now... This is the fourth and... It can't be fourth and fifth. I think this was the... Yeah, fourth and fifth battle that I end up having. This was really good fun. So at this point I was thinking, I need to get past these guys. But I know that they're quite fast. But they're not faster than me. So I'm thinking, how can I get past these guys quickly and safely so that I don't risk us colliding, crashing. You know, I want to make sure that I can actually finish the race and get a result. Because there's no point being the fastest person on circuit if as soon as you come to overtake somebody, you're just going to crash and wipe yourself out. At the end of the day, you've got to keep it on the road. Just managed to keep it within the light line there. The front left stayed in. Got a really bad exit there. You could hear how laboured I was on the throttle. I just didn't have the confidence to get the power down. See, this blue car's got a bit wide, but unfortunately I've ran wide there on the exit and touched the gravel, which has slowed me down. Now this P car, he's actually a back marker, so he's just getting in the way right now and slowing these down. You can see the blue flag off to the right there. So he's running in like 20th position and just in the way currently. You can see that the blue car there has to take avoiding action because the grey car's braked so early, you just didn't expect it. I took the opportunity to sneak up the inside and decided not to go for a dive bomb there, although it was on the cards, and this is where I'm talking about having a bit of patience and not taking out the car in front of you. If I remember right, they both get really terrible exits. No, that must be on another lap. So we're just in a train here. I'm sitting back, biding my time. I think I even, yeah, a little lift there because I don't want to catch these guys yet. Much better exit, so I look around the outside and the track sort of pinches, so you've got to be careful that the car on the inside doesn't come across on you because that is the natural racing line. So I'm thinking, okay, who's the best person to slipstream here? Move back over to the racing line for the braking point. And I think I go for a massive undercut. I do, under both of them. And at this point, I think we're 3 wide, or almost 3 wide. Just slip back in behind him. Like I said, 2 wide through Eau Rouge, not the best idea. Nearly bumped him, I had to brake. Back on throttle, the battle's still going on. I'm not gaining enough. He's obviously moving out. I'm staying behind the blue car, stay on the racing line. Maybe these guys take each other out. As you can see, they don't. But it's clean, hard, fair racing, this. I wish we had more of it with online sim racing. He's gone defensive. So I'm thinking if he runs wide, I can cut back. And he kind of does. Unfortunately, he just slides. So I have to stop, because otherwise I'm going to hit him and take us both out. So I hit the brakes a bit there. Mistake from blue is allowing the red car to catch back up. That would have been a bold move if he'd gone for that there. And again, I'm faster. I could have had a better exit, but he's just in the way. I think we both get slowdown penalties here, but blue runs wide and makes a mistake, so we sort of don't lose too much. Yeah, you see, so that downshift to second, that was me just making sure I gave back the time to avoid the 5-second penalty. Massive slide from the blue car. Feeling the pressure, I guess. Ah, there we go. I got a much better exit here, but the track's not really wide enough. I have to lift off and just sit behind him. Big lift off again. I don't want to be any part of this through here. Look to the outside again. This time successfully. Late on the brakes. The red car in the mirror nearly hits us and had to take avoiding action to the left. I think I've just braked way later than he thought. I stay to the middle of the circuit to pinch the blue car before jinking left to open up the corner. Come back for the undercut. I got a much better exit than him. But we are still running side by side. A massive lift off, leave him space. We both squeeze through, but my exit now, down to turn 3, is hampered. The lock up there as I'm coming in, but we got them. Now, I'm pretty... P1 or P2 goes off here. I think this is P1 and P2. So at this point I'm running P2 or trying to figure out what's going on. And I think this is P1 that I've just overtook. He got taken out by blue flagged cars, unfortunately. Outbrake himself and runs wide. So we're now leading the race on lap 7 and just have to do a parade lap for the last couple. So that battle that we had with those other two cars for what was 4th and 5th place at the time was super important. That's what gave us the win, or will give us the win. And yeah, it was a fun battle. I really enjoyed fighting with those guys. And I did have a couple of other races that were quite similar to this, in the fact of, you know, racing with 2 other cars, so you race 3 cars racing together. It's super fun. So you can see now, this guy's getting blue flags in front of us, running much slower, being as careful as I can. I think he does lift off down the straight, so he was paying enough attention to let the lead car through. If you look at the mirror, he's backed off there, which is nice to see. So at this point we were lapping like 9th, 8th, 10th, sort of those positions. And generally the drivers had enough awareness to move out of the way for us. So again, more blue flags. Just trying to safely make my way through the traffic. You can see how much faster I am through Eau Rouge than they are. What's this guy doing weaving about? Hackfoot. So I was being really cautious here because of just the way he was driving, and then eventually he just moves off to the right, lifts off. I was trying to figure out where this guy was going. He ran wide, slip up the inside. So not an easy last lap. Like we're still having to fight for this win essentially by cutting through the traffic and not getting wiped out. So I will say with these last to first challenges, they're great. They're really good fun for wheel to wheel action. And when you find some people that have awareness, like people can be slower than you or faster than you, but as long as there's respect and awareness of where these other cars are, you can have great racing with all types. You know, I think some people in these lobbies are even on gamepads. I know that people are racing on G27s, G29s. People have got, I don't know, Moser R3s, and some people have got like the expensive stuff, like the Moser R25 or something. So you've got, it's really cool to know that you've got people that all love racing across an all manner of different systems and setups, having fun. So I think I was super happy with this one. I ended up weaving down the straight a little bit. I think, you know, a little fist bump as we go. So, that's everything in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.